Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Smart Wallet and Me, where financial wisdom matters. In today's video, I want to do another update on the stock of Alibaba and show you guys some really interesting news that just came out from China, and I wanted to break it down for you guys. So let's get right into it. Okay guys, this article is coming to us from the Wall Street Journal, and it says Jack Ma makes ant offer to placate Chinese regulators. Trying to salvage his relationship with regulators in a November 2 meeting, the Chinese billionaire said he was ready to do what the country needed. And guess what he's trying to do? He is trying to placate the regulators by giving the Chinese government part ownership into Ant Group and possibly even Alibaba, which is really mind-blowing, because if he does this, and I think he's going to be doing this out of force, obviously he's not doing it because he thinks this is the best opportunity, but he's being forced to do this. And I think that the Chinese regulators told him that you either give us part ownership of these companies or we're shutting you down completely. And I think Jack Ma is trying to salvage his company and salvaging his relationship with the regulators by agreeing to give part ownership of these two companies to the Chinese government. So as Jack Ma was trying to salvage his relationship with Beijing in early November, the beleaguered Chinese billionaire offered to hand over parts of his financial technology giant Ant Group to the Chinese government. What? According to people with knowledge of the matter, you can take any of the platforms Ant has, as long as the country needs it, Mr. Ma, China's richest man, proposed at an unusual sit-down with regulators, the people said. The offer, not previously reported, appeared a mea culpa of sorts from Mr. Ma, as he found himself face-to-face with officials from China's central bank and agencies overseeing securities, banking, and insurance. The November 2 meeting took place a few days before Ant was supposed to go public in what would have been the world's largest and biggest initial public offering. His olive branch offer at the meeting failed at saving the IPO, and Beijing has since stepped up efforts to rein in big China's tech giants. Ant Group cannot confirm the details of the meeting with regulators held on November 2, 2020 because it is confidential. Mr. Ma's effort highlights how one of China's most famous entrepreneurs tried to dig out of his predicaments, as he and some of his peers attempt to navigate a policy landscape where priorities have shifted toward greater state control over companies deemed to have grown too big and powerful. Guys, I think this is very negative news for Alibaba and Ant Group, because the Chinese government is now trying to take control over these two companies, basically. And any other company in the future, they might even make these two companies as a spectacle for other companies like Tencent and possibly other fintech companies that may rise up in the future, to show them that they cannot grow too big too quickly, because the Chinese government will just hammer them back down. And I think that this is a very big push down on these companies, and I think that this is also a very bearish move for these two companies if Ant Group comes out in an IPO in the future, and also for Alibaba. And later on, if we read down the article, it says people close to China's financial regulators say there is no decision for now to take Mr. Ma up on his offer. One plan being considered involves subjecting Ant to tighter capital and leverage regulations, according to the people. Under that scenario, state banks or other types of state investors would buy into Ant to help cover any potential capital shortfall as a result of the tightened rules. Now, nobody knows what are all of the other options on the table, but if Jack Ma is offering to give up part ownership of this company to the Chinese government, then you can be sure that those other options are not any better than that. The Chinese state has already effectively nationalized some of the financial infrastructure Ant built, such as the interbank payment system that became Nets Union, said Martin Chozempa. So there is a precedent for nationalizing platforms that are viewed as serving a critical policy purpose. The government under Mr. Xi's leadership in recent years has shown a resolve to bring to heel private conglomerates viewed as undisciplined, however politically invincible their founders might have appeared. Property tycoon Wang Jianlin's Dalian Wanda Group, for instance, has been forced to sell assets, shrink its business, and pay back bank loans. Angbang Insurance Group, another private high roller, has been taken over by the state, while its founder Wu Chaohui in 2018 was sentenced to 18 years in prison for fraud and embezzlement. In addition, HNA Group, an airlines and hotel conglomerate, has had to pull back on aggressive acquisitions overseas and sell assets. Until recently, Mr. Ma also had a reputation for well-cultivated political ties. He hasn't made any public appearance since his October 24th speech. For years, companies including Ant and e-commerce giant Alibaba Group, both controlled by Mr. Ma, and internet conglomerate Tencent Holdings, had largely enjoyed relatively little government oversight of their quest to build and expand internet-based payment, lending, and other businesses. With Tencent's WeChat and other apps developed by these firms, millions of Chinese consumers and small business owners can make a purchase, hail a taxi, execute an investment, or even take out a loan with a swipe on their smartphones. Firms such as Alibaba and Tencent have become so successful that Chinese leaders, including Premier Li Keqiang, regularly hailed the use of the internet and big data as crucial in driving future economic growth. However, Beijing's leadership also has shown increasing unease with the wealth and influence these firms have built, as well as the risks posed by their lightly regulated activities, such as online lending made popular by Mr. Ma's Ant. In addition, the big tech firms in some instances have complicated the government's own effort to use data and technology to tighten social control. And if we read further down on this article, the very last sentence says, "The odds of nationalizing at least parts of the company are not zero," says a government advisor in Beijing. And this article ends with that last statement. And that is a very big statement to make, because this means that this company would be basically nationalized and it would be owned by the Chinese government. And if you remember my videos in the past, I mentioned that the Trump administration and the US government has signed bills that will prevent US investors from investing in Chinese companies that are tied to the Chinese government. And if this happens, this will for sure definitely prevent US investors from investing in this company, because this would be an outright prohibition according to that law. And so I believe that if this thing goes through and if they agree upon this thing where the Chinese government takes part ownership of Ant Group and Alibaba, I think that this will be the complete end of this stock, at least for US investors. Guys, again, that's only my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just reading this article and making sense of it, of how I understand what's going to happen. And if you guys also remember from my last video, I did a analysis on this stock, and I showed you guys how the 50-day moving average crossed down the 200-day moving average. And according to stock experts, this is considered the death cross. Whenever the 50-day crosses down the 200-day moving average, that's considered the death cross, and that occurred on November 13th. And that is a very bearish signal for this stock. And you can see the stock just drop back down, even going below the 50-day moving average. And these huge drops are not very good either for this stock, in my opinion. I think that we should be very careful investing in this company. I'm not saying that this company is not undervalued. I believe it is undervalued. It has so much potential. And this article was so much devastating to me. It was very sad news, because if that happens, that is not going to be good for this stock, because their Chinese government is pushing this company down for no reason other than they want complete control over it. That just goes to show you how stringent the Chinese government is on all these fintech companies. And I'm just suggesting to you guys, be very careful out there. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm bringing this news out to you guys firsthand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like it and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.